Hey guys. Okay. So lots of people ask me what my day-to-day routine is. And in the groups in the past, in some of the classes, people have asked me to kind of go through how I use the products and what I do throughout the day. And so I decided I would do that. There are certain things I use for certain reasons. There are things that I absolutely could not live without. And there are things that I may recommend to others that aren't right for me, and vice versa. And there are things that are right for me that aren't right for you, which is why every single thing that we do is completely customized to you, to your goals, to what your life is like, to what is important to you, to the medications that you're on, or the treatments that you're receiving, or the symptoms that you're having, or the diagnosis that you have. You are completely unique. But I want you to at least spend a little bit of time talking about how simply we can incorporate these things into our lives and live a healthier life, and it doesn't have to be complicated. There are times when I cook everything from scratch. I wish that time was always, but it isn't, because I run a business and I have a practice and I'm a full-time student and I'm a full-time mom and we live on a ranch and the animals don't stop. So I don't always get to do things the way I want to do them, which means I don't always get to cook everything from scratch. Now, throughout the holidays, I'm home, I take the time off, then I cook lots of leftovers and I freeze things. So that helps set me up for success. On the weeks that the kids are with their dad, it's much easier for me. I actually work longer hours. I eat less because I incorporate my fasts into the time that the kids are not here, which is just a little trick that works for me. And then when the kids are home, I try to make as much real food as possible for them and for us. So there is a little difference in my schedule depending upon whether it is an on week or an off week in terms of whether or not my children are here on the ranch or they're at their dad's house. So since this week is a week that the kids are at their dad's, I'm going to talk about that first. So typically if the kids are not home, I don't wake up as early because there's less for me to do in the morning. So I wake up naturally without an alarm clock on the weeks the kids are gone. Typically I wake up sometime between 6:45 and 7:30 in the morning. I prefer, obviously, to wake up without an alarm clock. If it weren't for the fact that the kids had to be at school at a certain time, or if we were able to homeschool, I would most certainly never use an alarm clock. It is awful. So on the days the kids are gone, I sleep till sometime between 6:45 and 7:30 naturally. And I just wake up when the sun comes up and my body knows it's time to get up. The darker my room, the easier it is for me to sleep in, which is why I leave my windows open so that I see the sun come up, and that is what wakes me up. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I do typically, which is not good, although and this is something I'm working on changing in 2021, but most of the time I get up and the first thing I do is check messages and see if there's anything urgent from my team, my family, especially the kids, because when the kids are not here, I do check my phone first thing in the morning just to make sure that nobody had any issues in the morning. There's nothing anybody needs at school. Everybody's cool. By 7:30, I've heard from all three of my children in the morning, so I always make sure that I check my phone. Then I mosey on into the kitchen and I start my day. The very first thing I do in the morning is I mix up my Slim Plus with a scoop of the lean powder, which I'm out of. It's actually coming today in the mail. So I use the lean powder instead of the lean capsules. You can open the lean capsules into liquid, or you can buy the sticks, or you can take the lean capsules if that's easier and you prefer it. I like the powder in my drink. So I use the Slim Plus, the lean, and a scoop of the Collagen Plus, and that's what I drink in the morning, and I put it in, I have to reach across the table real fast, hold on. I put it in my big old mason jar or in my big Yeti style cup. After I'm done drinking this, I give myself some time. I start working on my computer. I get my agenda out for the day. I figure out what I need to do. If my first client, which is typically between 10 and 11, if I don't have to do any homework before I get on the phone, I go out and do whatever needs to be done with the animals. If there's homework to be done, then I kind of figure out, what needs to be done outside, what needs to be done inside, and make a plan for myself. If I'm home by myself, usually around that time, either I'll do chores and then I come in and I make myself breakfast. When I make myself breakfast, I will either have an herbal tea or I'll start drinking my Hydrate, which is what's in here now. Fruit punch is my favorite, although every once in a while I need a break and I'll switch to the grape or the mango, but fruit punch typically is my favorite. And I make myself breakfast. My breakfast can occur depending upon the day, but again, we're talking about when the kids aren't home, so it's usually around 9 o'clock in the morning. I have eggs and sausage, or eggs and bacon, or leftovers from the night before. That's what I have for breakfast. Breakfast doesn't have to be breakfast food. Breakfast doesn't have to be at a prescribed time. But every time you eat, remember, it's got to start with protein. That's what's most important. So never is breakfast a protein shake. Protein shakes are not meal replacements. So if you are using our protein shake, it's in addition to whatever you're eating. So sometimes, especially on the weekend, is when I use the protein shake most because I'm running around and I'm in a hurry. I'll make a protein shake. And usually I do that with the chocolate protein and either water or coconut milk. Those are the two things I usually use. And depending upon, what I'm in the mood for, I'll add like some cayenne pepper to it, or I'll add my collagen to it, whatever. But the only time I use those is if I know that I'm going to skimp on my breakfast and I'm not going to get enough protein. So I might grab a hard-boiled egg or grab some bacon on the road, and then I'll take a protein shake. That's the only time I use the protein shake. Now, what do I use the protein shake for most of the time? Is adding to food to increase the protein. So if I know throughout the day I'm really not hungry that day and I haven't been eating enough, then I'll add the protein powder to something like the Fat Bombs or like the yogurt chocolate mousse or whatever. And I don't do dairy. So I get the Kite Hill almond milk yogurt and do that, although I am really trying to avoid even the almond milk and the cashew milk and all that stuff completely, and just stick with real food as much as possible. So that is a tool I use when I can't eat enough real food, but it isn't a replacement for real food. I really want people to understand that. So anyway, then after breakfast, I work on my Hydrate and I go to work. I typically do not eat lunch. Although today was kind of an abnormal day, so I did make myself lunch because I had leftovers in the fridge and they were screaming my name from last night's dinner. And this morning I had a really quick breakfast, which was just 2 eggs and a piece of sausage. So I went ahead and had my leftover burger from dinner last night for lunch. But usually I don't eat lunch. And then I will make dinner. Or we'll eat out if the kids aren't around or whatnot. We might grab something. Typically the easiest things for me to grab, I know like there's set things that if I'm not going to cook a meal. So if we're home, I will cook lamb, or I will cook beef. I will cook venison, or I will cook elk. Sometimes I'll have wild boar if I can get my hands on it. Very infrequently do I ever cook chicken unless we have processed our chickens and I'm cooking our chickens. Otherwise, I completely avoid chicken and turkey and other poultry that hasn't been raised on this ranch. I tend to feel like chicken is really the most disgusting thing on the planet if you're not growing it yourselves. Because remember that all chickens are fed corn, soy, and wheat even if they're organic, that doesn't make them better. They just eat organic corn, soy, and wheat, which means they're all inflamed, they're all sick, they're all unhealthy, and that's gross. So I prefer to stick to things that I know eat their natural diet. That's just me. That doesn't mean that we're perfect or that it's always that way, and sometimes we grab things that are quick, but I tend to avoid poultry because I am repulsed by it. As much as I can get wild caught fish, in the summer it's much easier, but as much as we can get wild caught fish or shellfish, I will incorporate those into our life as well. Like right now there's some mussels in the fridge because I made them a couple days ago and I have to eat those up tonight for dinner. I'm eating up all the leftovers. Then in terms of product, after breakfast is when I would take my AM vitamins. So I always want to eat first and then take them. And then I drink my hydrate all day long. So I typically go through 2 or 3 of these a day, depending upon how much activity I'm doing. If I'm just sitting around working on the computer, which is what I'm doing mostly today, I'll have 2 of these. And if I'm still thirsty, I might have a glass of water later. And then before I go to bed, I have the Post, which I don't even know where I put it. I have my Post before bed, and I'm not a fan of the flavor, so I mix in the hydrate. And with the berry, I like to mix the grape hydrate. So I'll have one of those before bed, my sleep strip, my nighttime vitamins. The other thing that I have now incorporated into my everyday is every morning when I get my Slim Plus ready, I have my OGS. Then I go about my business. Then I eat my breakfast. Then I work all day. Then I make dinner. Then I get ready for bed. When I get ready for bed, I do have a routine. You've heard me talk about nighttime routines. I think that's really, really important. So for me, my nighttime routine is this. I go to bed. I have a nightly devotional that I do. I have a little mind game thing, like to help improve your memory and your math skills and that kind of stuff that I play until I feel a little bit tired. When I take my sleep strips, that means I usually play my game for 10 minutes and then I'm ready to go to bed. So I go to bed, I take my vitamins and my sleep strip, I take my Post with me into the bedroom, I do my devotional first, I pray, and then I will play my game until I feel like I'm done, and then I go to bed. That works for me. And then, I start my diffuser and I do those kinds of things, or I use my Healy, all of those but otherwise it's kind of the same. I do my devotional, I pray, I play my little game until I'm ready to fall asleep. And I like those brain teasers. I have lots of books in my bedside table. I have lots of books of different brain games, word games, number games, things like that. Anything that kind of makes me, it doesn't require, it's funny because I want it to not require me to think, because I think all day, right? I think all the time. And I want something that is kind of mind numbing before I go to bed so that I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about science. I'm not thinking about the kids. I'm not thinking about problems. I'm not thinking about marketing issues. I'm not thinking about anything that needs my attention. So by playing these word games and number games, it's engaging my brain. It's making me use skills and improving my skills. Like some of the games I play are even grammar games. Like you have to pick out where the wrong comma or the improper punctuation is and fix it. They're just things that make me use skills that I have so that I don't lose those skills. I use my brain so that it's not completely mush at the end of the day. But it's actually very relaxing for me because it's not me thinking about the things I usually think about, if that makes any sense. And obviously I love my essential oils before bed, and I have my chamomile oil that I put on my body before I go to bed. And I diffuse, like last night I diffused a stress blend, and I put my chamomile on and hunkered into bed to get ready for sleep. I actually slept fantastic last night, which is amazing because recently I haven't been sleeping all that great myself. And so part of my goal as we look at 2021 is ways that I can take the things that I do and improve them in my life. So some of the commitments that I've made this year to myself are that I have gone back to being completely dairy free. I have decided to prioritize my sleep and make sure that I stay very firm to my sleep routine and really focus on quality sleep. And then I have a whole list of goals and things that I want to accomplish, that I want to work towards, so that every day I'm doing something to work towards those goals. Anyway, I just wanted to go over how I use the products throughout the day. And if anybody has any questions, please drop a comment in the comment section. You guys have a good day and Happy New Year.